Stargate names 5 more sites the same week FERC's grid rule deadline finally comes due. One has an actual date attached, the other has a press release. If you're just joining, large data center interconnections have turned into a federal cost allocation fight. FERC and lawmakers are weighing whether standard rules can move huge loads faster without dumping grid costs onto everyone else. State regulators, through NARUC, have pushed back hard on federal reach into distribution interconnections, retail sales, and state-governed service. That federal versus state line is the fault line, and FERC has to either settle it or dodge it this week.
This is the Data Center Daily. 5 new sites, one FERC deadline that's finally here, and a checklist I've been sharpening for 3 days. Let's grade some announcements.
From OpenAI.
New data centers put Stargate ahead of schedule to secure full $500 billion 10-gigawatt commitment by end of 2025. OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank are announcing 5 new U.S. AI data center sites under Stargate, OpenAI's overarching AI infrastructure platform.
5 new Stargate sites, and the headline number is exactly the one OpenAI wants you to see. Ahead of schedule on the full $500 billion 10-gigawatt commitment by the end of 2025. Announced, though. Synergy's count of operational hyperscale facilities doesn't move just because OpenAI put 5 dots on a map. These 5 aren't energized. They've been press released.
5 sites, and I want to know which ones have a utility commission sign-off on a power supply agreement, and which ones are just queue positions with logos on them. Because the Texas build was islanded gas behind the meter, grid bypass. Are all 5 using that same template, or did anybody actually file with a PSC?
That's where I'd start. Run any one of the 5 through the basics: interconnection status, substation work, water permits, financing, and tell me what you can actually see versus what's missing. Right now, a lot is missing.
And somebody's holding the exposure on a 500-megawatt queue slot if the option never converts. Name the site, name who eats it. The blog post doesn't. Okay, so give me the actual checklist. Stargate keeps dropping site announcements, and we've seen enough vaporware in this space to be skeptical. How do you separate shovel-ready capacity from optionality in a press release?
The honest answer: triangulate across at least 3 independent signals, because any one of them can be gamed. Start with Utility Commission approval of a power supply agreement. The clearest example we have is the Michigan PSC's 3-0 vote in December to conditionally approve DTE's 19-year, 1.4 gigawatt PSA for the Saline Township Stargate campus, per Latitude Media's Scott Clavenna. That kind of approval forces the utility to model load shape, cost allocation, and rate impacts. You can't just paper over it. Then look for behind-the-meter generation. As Tara Tan documented, when a developer trucks in gas turbines and wires them straight to the building before grid interconnection clears, that's physical equipment on the ground and real capital at risk. XAI did exactly that in Memphis when it needed hundreds of megawatts and had 8 megawatts on the grid. It's operationally ugly, but it's real. And for primary source confirmation, the Abilene campus matters. Reuters photographed it mid-construction in September 2025, with 8 data center buildings planned and construction visibly underway. A press release can't replicate that. I'd heavily discount any site that's still just an announcement, with no utility filing, no interconnection queue position, and no equipment on site.
The Michigan PSA approval is conditional. What's actually contingent, and does that really weaken it as a signal?
Conditional approval still puts it miles past a press release. It means the Commission reviewed the economics and said, yes, with guardrails. And now DTE has to operationalize that finding. In 2026, per Latitude, watch whether the Saline Township site clears those remaining conditions and whether the broader Stargate pipeline hits the same enthusiasm and hardship cycle Michigan already went through. The signal that would change the picture fastest is a site losing its utility agreement or falling out of the interconnection queue entirely. That's the canary. From Ryan J. Regula at law offices of Snell and Wilmer.
The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC, has committed to act by the end of June 2026 on the U.S. Department of Energy's, DOE, Section 403 proposal to standardize how very large electricity users, especially data centers, connect to the interstate transmission grid, roughly 2 months after DOE's requested April 30th, 2026 date.
Here's the date I've been circling. FERC committed to act on DOE's Section 403 plan by the end of June 2026, and it's June 22nd. The clock isn't theoretical anymore. It's this week.
Right, but by the end of June has the same energy as by April 30th, and April 30th came and went. So has the Commission actually moved, or are we about to watch the deadline reschedule itself again?
That 2-month slip is the tell, though. Snell and Wilmer frames the extra time as deliberate. FERC wants a ruling durable enough to survive a jurisdictional challenge, not just a fast one.
Durable for whom? This is a Section 403 petition, so the whole fight is the federal state line: distribution interconnections, retail sales, state-governed service. If the final rule punts on that boundary, then it hasn't really written anything into a tariff.
And that's the large load fight right there. FERC's June clock puts federal-state jurisdiction at the center of the Q debate. What I want to see is whether the rule actually defines how a large load gets counted or leaves it to the interconnection agreements, where it always slips through.
Tie it to what we just hit: 5 new Stargate sites. If FERC issues a rule this week that doesn't fix gross load versus net import reporting, you're just moving the same shaky load math through a faster queue.
If you follow the infrastructure behind AI, you might also like Musk versus Altman daily court watch on Elon Musk's trial against Sam Altman, OpenAI, and Microsoft, with testimony, exhibits, and the AGI governance fight. Find it wherever you listen to podcasts. Next up, FERC has committed to act by the end of June on the Energy Department's Section 403 Large Load Interconnection proposal. You'll find links to every story from today's briefing in the show notes. If one caught your ear, you can follow it there and read more. That's the Data Center Daily for today. This is a Lantern podcast.